Hello Detroit, and thank you for joining us for our 8th annual Head for the Cure 5K Detroit, a monumental day to celebrate an amazing community. It has been my pleasure to work alongside you to make this event truly special. We have accomplished so much through our partnership with the Hermelin Brain Tumor Center at the Henry Ford Health Systems. Thank you to our incredible survivors, team captains, and participants. We could not have done this without your help. With you, we have raised over $130,000 to support your local brain tumor community. It has been an incredible journey these past 8 years. Thank you everyone for allowing us to be part of your life in some way. Donations will remain open, so please consider supporting at headforthecure.org/Detroit. Now, please join me in thanking our beneficiary and our following sponsors.
Head for the Cure exists for 3 main reasons. Number 1 is to build awareness around this disease. 2 is to raise funds for patient programs and clinical research. And 3, and one of the things that we're doing here today, is igniting hope. We're igniting hope for all those who have ever faced a brain tumor diagnosis, whether a patient, a survivor, a caregiver. Hope is really one of the things that pulls us through. So by participating today, you are helping show others that they are not alone in this fight, that we are doing this together. Thank you so much for showing your support. We're so excited to say that we have phenomenal national sponsors again this year. VML-Y&R, International Advertising Agency. They helped ignite Head for the Cure the very first year in 2003, and they have always been a staunch supporter of Head for the Cure.
Hi there, my name's John Cook. I'm the CEO of VML-Y&R. VML-Y&R is an advertising agency, and we're all over the world. We're about 13,000 people in about every place you can imagine. But we're headquartered right here in Kansas City, Missouri, and that's where we first met Head for the Cure. And that was 20 years ago, and we've been a proud sponsor and partner and teammates ever since, and we're proud of every one of those years and all we've been able to do together. And that's something that has obviously been part of our history for the last 20 years, but our commitment is it's something that will always be part of VML-Y&R going forward. Thanks for everything, Head for the Cure.
Get Real Mindset by Harry Campbell. In his latest book, Get Real Mindset, he really challenges each individual to be the very best version of themselves and embrace change, which I think we've all gotten pretty good at in the last year for sure. NovaCure has been a feature at our events over the past 7 years. NovaCure's Optune device is FDA approved and used to treat glioblastoma patients. This device helps enhance the patient's quality of life.
I had my daughter, and now she's 19 months, and she's a little human that we created. So we pretty much watching her grow up.
Can you say hi to the phone?
Hi.
Here we are at our turnaround point, and you see I'm totally alone. Aha! We found him. He's a shade seeker.
Sonny and daughter-in-law graduated from medical school.
We didn't know that we would have the opportunity to sit there in the audience and hold hands. Well, they recited the Hippocratic Oath. So that was pretty special.
I've got a daughter and I've got some grandkids and a husband, and every time we get to celebrate one of their birthdays, it's just one more time that I'm here for it. And I'm so thankful for that.
Happy birthday, dear Pierre.
I gave Pierre a really special 60th birthday party last year, which also happened to fall on the day of his diagnosis anniversary 1 year. There were 55 people there, and they came from all over. Friends came from Texas, from Chicago, from Oregon, from Washington, and it was really special for him because it was all his friends really celebrating his life.
My wife and I were able to go to Ireland this year, and we spent 8 days there, and it was a great time.
This thing called a 5-peak challenge. You basically do the 5 highest peaks in San Diego in one day. I'd been training for that before, and I kind of took a break because obviously I had surgery. And I built myself back up. I accomplished the 5-peak challenge, which was a big feat for me.
Pierre is a major football fan, being from Texas. So I bought tickets to a Chiefs game at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City and flew us out there for a game. During the halftime, the cheerleaders came and found us and gave him a signed ball by Chris Jones. So that was really amazing.
I'm an avid guitar player, so I got back into doing that, and I played a couple live gigs and just doing that with Optune on. So I wasn't going to let cancer or the thought of cancer and the diagnosis kind of take away from living my life.
Each year on my craniversary, I send a note to my surgeon and to my doctor. and just, tell them how appreciative I am that I'm still here to be able to send that note.
Weather 2020. Thank you, Gary and the team, for providing accurate forecasts for all of our events. And new this year, Parisi Coffee. Through online give backs and providing our morning coffee at our soon-to-be in-person 5Ks, Parisi Coffee is fueling our fight against brain cancer.
We would now like to take some time to thank our amazing local sponsors. For our Start Finish Line sponsor, IBEW Local 58. Silver sponsors, Russ Milne Inc. and Pampered Pup Salon. Bronze sponsor, Forest Brothers. Contributing sponsors, Highland, Tally's Place, Smart Local 0278, the Mac Hathorn Group, and our in-kind sponsors, Donut Villa and Hall's Nursery Inc. Thank you to all of our incredible sponsors and for your incredible support this year. We would like to thank our incredible race partner and beneficiary, the Hermelin Brain Tumor Center at Henry Ford Health System. At the Hermelin Brain Tumor Center, you will find compassion and ongoing support from experienced brain tumor specialists. Their team of doctors and nurses offers everything you and your family need for a brain tumor: rapid diagnosis, personalized care, and experts in brain tumor treatment. We'd also like to give a huge thank you to some incredible individuals who helped with this year's event. Lisa Scarpace, Dr. Tobias Walber, Dr. James Snyder, and Neslin Gay. Thank you so much for all your incredible support this year.
Head for the Cure 5K events are not only successful fundraisers in the fight against brain cancer, but unique tributes for those currently fighting this terrible disease and remembering those who have lost their battles. Head for the Cure was started in honor of a man named Chris Anthony. Chris's motto was always keeping the faith. He lived it daily. He signed off every email with keeping the faith, and his faith enabled him to maintain his grace, dignity, courage, and strength throughout his illness. That's why every year we honor brain cancer patients and their loved ones with a special recognition we call Keeping the Faith. Each of their stories is personal and special, and all are inspiring.
We'd like to honor Gary Nauman with the Keeping the Faith Award. My dad told us at 9 o'clock on a Friday night that he thought he had a stroke 2 weeks ago. Fast forward to Monday morning, primary care doc, then the ER to have a CT completed. I knew we would have the results after the CT was done. The results came back as a golf ball-sized brain tumor. Oddly enough, I was happy because we know how to handle brain tumors, since I had my brain tumor removed by Dr. Jack Rock at Henry Ford in 2015. Hence my team name, Rockstars. The result of the CT came back around 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and within seconds I was on the phone with Lisa at Henry Ford, explaining what was going on and trying to transfer my dad so that the surgery could be completed. Because of COVID and a few other complications, we weren't able to get my dad transferred yet, but I was able to pick a Henry Ford trained surgeon to complete his first surgery. That was October 2020. My dad is now on brain surgery number 3 as of July 2021. Surgery number 2 and number 3 being completed by Dr. Lee at Henry Ford. Every moment of the way, we have been in constant contact with either Lisa or Dr. Lee or his oncologist, who was handpicked by Lisa. I sat down the other day to count how many times my dad had been hospitalized, meaning an overnight stay, since this all started in October. I basically counted 10 times of hospitalizations. I've described my dad as Murphy's Law during this whole process. Almost everything that can go wrong seems to have gone wrong. Oddly enough, the brain surgeries for us are the easiest and least stressful things to go through. My dad has gone through blood clots, pulmonary embolisms, C. diff, allergic reactions, etc., all resulting in trips to the ER and countless hospitalizations. Through it all, my dad has remained very optimistic and completely happy while being under the care of Henry Ford doctors. I have been the biggest fan of Henry Ford since my surgery, and now my dad is the second biggest fan of Henry Ford. This was submitted by Mandy Newman. We'd like to honor Jenny Burr with the Keeping the Faith Award. Jenny is an over 8-year survivor, having been diagnosed in early April of 2013 with a GBM, the same tumor that had taken her father only 2 years prior. But doctors insist it's just lightning striking twice. She is more than full-time assistant of a local Panera Bread cafe by day and an avid DIY junkie at night. She sews, paints, prints, builds, designs, and crafts whatever she can. Her latest important project was a lamp she built surrounding her dad's urn. He loved garage sales, and one day he joked that when he died, he wanted to be bronzed and turned into a lamp, so he could live forever, going from garage sale to garage sale. To the dismay of a couple people, Jenny made this happen. But he will be staying with her until she too enters the eternal garage sale cycle, ideally many years from now. She also loves the outdoors and adventurous activities like high ropes courses, zip lining, and even went skydiving for the first time recently. She self-published an autobiography in the first 30 years of her life titled Nobody Loves a Farting Princess. And she will happily give you the copy if you ask nicely, and she loves telling her story and helping other cancer fighters. This was submitted by Susan Carroll. We'd like to honor Linda Lee with the Keeping the Faith Award. Linda was diagnosed at the end of January 2021 with a GBM. She was transferred to Henry Ford Hospital, Detroit to have surgery to remove a larger tumor in the right temporal lobe. The surgeon was able to remove over 85% of the tumor. The biomarkers of the tumor were a match for a study. Linda has gone through 6 weeks of chemo and the study drug combined with radiation. She is into the 3rd cycle of 523 chemo with the addition of the study drug for all 28 days. The last MRI in August shows a clear void where the tumor was removed and no new growth. Of the 2 areas that cannot be removed surgically, one area shows signs of shrinkage and the other does not show up on the MRI anymore. Linda is 7 months into this journey and is holding strong as the strong wife, mother, grandmother that she is. Linda, we love you. Stay strong. Submitted by Bill Lee. We'd like to honor Nick Pudar with the Keeping the Faith Award. Nick was diagnosed with GBM following a seizure on April 16, 2021. After undergoing surgery, radiation, and 3 rounds of chemo, Nick continues to battle this terrible disease. Throughout this experience, he has chosen to focus on joy and positivity as much as possible, savoring time with family and friends. Nick has worn many hats in his lifetime: husband, father, strategist, teacher, magician, juggler, photographer, and many, many more. We are blessed to have him in our lives. And this was submitted by Julie Pudar. We'd like to honor Dave Campbell with the Keeping the Faith Award. Dave is a loving husband of 26 years to Kristen and an amazing dad to 2 boys, Colin, who is 24, and Brennan, who is 21. In February of 2020, Dave suffered a massive seizure. An MRI showed a large frontal lobe mass, and a resection in June of that year led to a diagnosis of grade 3 oligodendroglioma. Dave has endured major surgery, radiation, and a year of chemo in his fight against brain cancer. He faces his battle with bravery, grace, patience, and the unending love of his family, extended family, community of Mason, Michigan, and coworkers. One coworker, in fact, had a son diagnosed with brain cancer just 2 months before Dave, and they have since formed a special bond and call themselves Brain Bros, which is the name of the team walking today. Dave completed his year of chemo in August and continues to have MRIs every 2 months, his most recent being last week, for which he will get results on Monday. Kristen, Colin, and Brennan want Dave to know how incredibly proud they are of him, how much he is loved, and that we are grateful his story continues because of work done to raise money for brain cancer research by groups like this. Keep fighting, Dad. We love you more. Submitted by Kristen Campbell.
Thank you for your courage and for allowing us to honor you. The Legacy of Love Award was implemented at our North Texas event in 2011 in honor of Stevie Patrick. She was diagnosed with a brain tumor at the age of 28, and although Stevie would go on to battle brain cancer for 3.5 years, her heart was always open to reach out and help others, even as she was going through an incredibly difficult time. Stevie always took the high road and walked through each day with great integrity and a big smile on her face. This award is easily defined by actions of integrity, encouragement, determination, and truly loving and serving others, especially those in need. The recipient of this must have a strong desire to encourage and help others. This deserving person must be a leader each day and also have the courage to smile in the midst of adversity. We'd now like to share their story.
We'd like to present a Legacy of Love Award to Thomas Jackson. My husband, Tom Jackson, has been my main caregiver since my initial diagnosis in 2007. Even though he continues to work a lot of hours in a very stressful position with his own health issues, he has never stopped caring about my health. He helps around the house with cleaning and taking care of the lawn and gardening. He also tries to make every one of my appointments at Henry Ford and asks the question I forgot to ask. He does all of this without many complaints. He is a great husband, father, grandfather. I couldn't imagine my life without him. This was submitted by Angela Jackson. We'd like to honor Rick White with the Legacy of Love Award. I am nominating my husband, Rick White, for the Legacy of Love Award this year. When I look back to that fateful day when I was diagnosed with glioblastoma, I realize how many people contributed to saving my life, and I am humbled and grateful. I had been suffering debilitating headaches that wouldn't go away. I continued to work, but after a week or so, Rick arrived home to find me miserable and in severe pain. I am very stubborn, and I kept telling him I was fine. I had suffered migraines before, and I assumed this was another headache. Thankfully, Rick had the wherewithal to call an ambulance. My next memory is working up at a Henry Ford hospital, surrounded by a sea of healthcare workers, where I was told I had a brain tumor. Rick never left my side during the 2 weeks at Henry Ford. I joked with my family that he had wrapped me in bubble wrap to protect me at all times. He basically lived at the hospital while they prepared me for brain surgery. I look back and I'm not sure how he handled the stress of everything. 2 weeks before my diagnosis, we had purchased Ziggy's ice cream and Grand Blanc. Rick was left with not only caring for me and our kids, but also to keep our new business afloat without any help from me. Rick has been my rock through everything. He never complains about the burden of caring for me. He insists on driving me to every appointment. He shares the worry before every scan, and loves me even on my cranky days. I realize that being a caregiver can be an exhausting job, but Rick reminds me that he couldn't have it any other way. I feel so fortunate to have such a loving, selfless spouse. He deserves the recognition and notoriety for being my rock as I continue to fight this wicked disease. So since I know I don't say it enough, thank you. Thank you for standing by my side, for catching me when I fall, for loving me even on my bad days, and for being the best caregiver to me. I love you, our family, and the life we built together. This was submitted by Kate White. We'd like to honor Elijah Kress with the Legacy of Love Award. We would like to nominate an amazing young man who has demonstrated true unconditional love, respect, and commitment. Elijah Kress was 25 years old and living his dream in LA, California, skateboarding and starting his career when his father, Michael Kress, was diagnosed in July 2020 with stage 4 glioblastoma. For 9 months, he traveled back and forth from LA to Lansing, Michigan, to visit and spend time with his father and stepmother, Teresa, who was Michael's sole caregiver. On April 20th, 2021, Teresa unexpectedly passed away in her sleep. She was an amazing caregiver, wife, mother, sister, daughter, and grandmother. Her death was in part a result of stress, exhaustion, and being overwhelmed. While grieving her death and knowing his father needed 24-hour care, without hesitation, Elijah immediately posted these words: "I am moving back to Michigan indefinitely to take care of my father and be there for my family in time of need. Please, if you can just pray for positivity and guidance for my family as we go through some of the darkest moments of our lives." It was not an easy task for a now 26-year-old young man to assume various new roles and responsibilities, financially, emotionally, and physically. Elijah never complained, never questioned, and never second-guessed his decision. Michael passed away on June 25, 2021, surrounded by his family. The days following his death again required difficult planning and decisions by Elijah. He has remained positive throughout this journey. We marvel at his strength, love, and commitment to his father. He is most deserving of the Legacy of Love Award. This was submitted by Peggy Dell.
It is my utmost pleasure to offer the Legacy of Love Award to Mark Bettman, given and submitted by his daughters, Erin and Michelle. Our dad was able to step up as a caregiver while our world was falling apart. Our mom was just diagnosed with a glioblastoma at a precarious time in our lives. I had just started college and was learning to live on my own, while my sister was adjusting to her new normal. Our dad did the best to ensure that not only our mom had the best care that she could possibly have, but we were able to continue growing up as best we could. Although home felt like it was pulling me back, both my parents instilled in me their dreams of continuing my education. Same for my sister. At a time that she would have wanted to be more involved at home, she didn't have to drop out of a single passion. That wouldn't have been possible without Dad taking the reins and both of our parents' encouragement. Our mom lost her fight a little over a year later, and even then, our dad did everything he could to make us feel supported and confident in our education and the world. Since then, our dad does everything he can to continue the fight so that other families won't have to go through the same thing that we did. He's raised thousands of dollars for brain cancer research and joined a committee at the Henry Ford Hospital focusing on patient and caregiver comfort. Congratulations, Mark. I'm thrilled that you received this nomination.
When I was asked if I wanted to nominate my older brother, Mike Coughlin, for the Stevie Patrick Legacy Love Award, I was very honored. My only concern was if I had enough room to write all the reasons I feel my brother deserves this honor. As we say in our family, Michael, they broke the mold when you were born. You are like no other. Michael and Rebecca met in a class in college. On the very last day of their last class in college, Mike finally got up the nerve to ask Rebecca out. Her classic response was, "You have my number." And like they say it, that is the beginning of a beautiful life together that lasted 43 years. As being a young sister, I watched them as a married couple throughout the decades of being together. I was truly amazed at the respect that they had for one another. Even in the heat of anger, they made a pact to never hit below the belt or swear at each other. One of the most enduring memories of them is when Mike would introduce Rebecca as his bride, even after decades of marriage. Special. The list goes on. I knew long ago that this marriage would last through the test of times, and it did. In November 2018, all of our lives changed forever. Rebecca didn't feel right, so she went to her doctor where she was told she had a glioblastoma, a brain tumor that had 8 to 10 months to live without treatment. Obviously life-changing from this point forward and very traumatic for both. As a family, we were all together to help them during this journey. but we never knew who was in charge. Michael was focused on Rebecca only. Everyone else was secondary. Rebecca did everything to fight this beast. Mike was in charge. He now was a leader. From the first day that we were able to talk after her diagnosis, Mike and Rebecca were ready to take this on with faith, optimism, and hard work. For Rebecca's first brain surgery, I'll never forget, which set the tone for their future care, Mike never left her side. Literally, we would have to beg him to go home and shower. He slept in every hospital room, ER waiting room, lobbies, and doctor's offices. The appointments were frequent, and the decision-making was life-altering. So they made the decision together, and Mike retired from his job after 30-plus years so he could focus on his bunny. Rebecca continued to fight, and she did Optune treatment and then had another brain surgery and was fortunate enough to be part of the trial program. Even though the glioblastoma was horrible, one of the best things my brother did for Rebecca was he was her biggest cheerleader and encourager. No matter what was going on internally, he cheered Rebecca through every scary needle poke, which she was terrified of. An encouragement of his love when she was wheeled into the operation rooms. They had their McDonald's date nights as they ordered and sat in the car and watched the sunset because it was hard for her to walk at that point. It is known that the positive reinforcement, and we are going to beat this attitude, helps patients live longer. It is a fact. Thankfully, between all of that, Rebecca had a period of remission, and they were very blessed to be able to done traveling together and reconnect and try to relax. During all this time, Rebecca had tremendous faith in God, and as she strived to do her best, the beast resurfaced, and another tumor appeared that was inoperable. In December of 2019, Rebecca decided she was ready for home hospice. It was just too hard anymore, and she was tired. Again, the disease progressed. Mike still was her cheerleader as she used a walker to get to the bathroom or to take her pills, which became challenging. He moved his bed downstairs to sleep next to her hospital bed. Remember this during COVID-19, therefore the stress Michael was under to keep away a house and Rebecca. He had enough tough decisions on visitations of friends and family gatherings in 2020 that it was very stressful for him because the people wanted to visit and she couldn't risk getting it. Once Rebecca was bedbound, couldn't walk, and all the things on Mike's shoulder, our sister Kathleen came and lived with them for about 2 months during COVID until Rebecca's passing. We were all grateful for Catherine's endless help during this time. I was with them helping when I could and witnessed the care that was needed during this time. Mike did everything. We assisted. Biggest quality I know we gave Rebecca was undoubtedly patience. I saw the stress, sadness, fear, and loss on Mike's face, but Rebecca never witnessed any of that. Incredible in my book. All she heard and saw was love. Always told her she was doing a great job, helping us help her. Never made her feel more embarrassed than she was at the time. Always told her how beautiful she was and how much he loved her. The dignity and endless respect he gave Rebecca from her last breath. She was worshipped, respected, and loved from her husband. She knew she was Michael's bride forever. We lost Rebecca on April 8th, 2020. My brother wants to continue Rebecca's life and legacy, and he has done that. He helps people with Henry Ford Hospital with coming up with new tips and suggestions that they, as a hospital, can implement for future brochures for glioblastoma patients. Mike's always visiting Rebecca's memorial garden that was named in her honor after 38 years of working in the Canton Public Library. Rebecca was a remarkable woman who has missed her. We miss her beyond words, but my brother lost love of his life. I am so proud to call you my brother, Mike. You are focused on healing yourself with still helping others. I love how you write love Mike and Rebecca to this day on greeting cards. Mike looks for bunny rabbits every day, and he sees one he knows is Rebecca, aka Bunny Rabbit, is saying hi. I will end this with saying I was fortunate enough to watch firsthand what a caregiver entails. It is not for the faint of heart, and it guts. I wouldn't wish this disease on anyone, and I have profound respect to all of those that care for loved ones until they enter God's kingdom. If you ever witnessed Mike and Rebecca's love story, you can understand why my brother Mike Coughlin would be nominated. I also pray for all the survivors of glioblastoma and those who have passed. Everyone deserves the love Mike and Rebecca had forever. Mike is moving forward and healing with Bunny by his side forever. Love, all your family and friends. XO.